Kampala, Uganda. I visited there in June of 2006. It was an amazing trip. I was there for about a week with the staff of Opportunity Education. We had come to visit schools there and in the surrounding areas. Uganda is not a large country. It is about the size of Oregon, but it has a large population, 27 million people. Texas, that big state, it only has 20 million people. About 1 million people live in Kampala, although it doesn't occupy a very large geographic space. Shops, businesses, homes, everywhere you looked. People everywhere, out and about, day and night. A lot of the area is poor, just developing into the modern age. But sometimes we would see very modern evidences of their change. Cell phones. Cell phones were an important part of this conversion. It was interesting that the only buildings we saw with new paint seemed to be painted with cell phone company advertisements. A lot of the world is, by our standards, very crude and basic. Here you see scaffolding, hand-built. A lot of the construction work was done by hand, very little machinery or modern tractors or equipment. Guards everywhere. Security was enforced everywhere. Everything that was everywhere was cars. Traffic was everywhere. And not just cars. Cars, scooters, bicycles, weaving in and out. I was so glad I didn't drive while we were there. The traffic was amazing. I only think I remember seeing 1, maybe 2 traffic lights in the whole city. A lot of the old world still exists. We saw very little middle class. This shows the seminary where we stayed for that week. And here is my room, including mosquito netting. But then we were off to the schools. All the schools were so appreciative as we came. We were their friends in America that helped them out. Opportunity Education is a foundation started by Joe Ricketts. He wanted to help the schools come into the modern age. He knew that they didn't have the finances for TVs and DVD players, so he provides that. He also provides curriculum for them. Often as we would meet at the schools, the students would gather together and they would sing to us. Sometimes they would sing to us in their native language, and sometimes in English. English is the official language. It is a very British style of enunciation, but it is nonetheless English. It was wonderful to hear the students sing. Sometimes they were large groups, and sometimes small groups. On Friday afternoon, we were behind schedule, arrived late to this school, and found all that was left to sing to us were these few students. They were the ones that had no one come to pick them up at the end of the school week. They were going to have to spend the whole weekend there at school. After we would initially meet with the students, we would often meet with the administrators and the teachers to find out how Opportunity Education could better help them. Oftentimes I would wander around the schools to just see what real life was like there. Class sizes were so large. 30 or 40 students in a class was a small class. So often there was 50, 60, or maybe even 70 students to a class. When the students were left alone, prefects oftentimes took over the teaching when the teachers had other duties to administer. Here we had a small classroom where they were getting to watch their DVD player and learn the curriculum from the company in America. Many schools lacked basic school supplies, even textbooks. Sometimes there would only be a copy or two, enough for the teacher to teach the curriculum. Here you see a classroom full of supplies. Everything you see here was supplied by Opportunity Education that accompanied the curriculum that was sent. These are the teacher's first view with some magnifying glasses. Imagine teaching science courses, never having seen a magnifying glass. But the students and teachers are resourceful. They appreciate what they get, and it helps them. And that's what the program is all about. As you walk around the schools, you'll see signs. They're inside, they're outside, they're everywhere. They encourage students in many different areas. AIDS is a real problem in all of Africa, but the President of Uganda has taken a different approach. His presidential initiative includes abstinence before marriage and fidelity after marriage. All the schools we visited were primary schools. At the end of the 8th year, the students take exams to see if they can continue their education. That last year is an important time for studies, and some schools provide dormitories for the students to live in. Most schools in Uganda are not free. Most are operated by the Catholic or the Church of Uganda, an Anglican church. Fees must be collected to continue to keep the schools open. That's quite a hardship on many families. The government tried to run the schools a few years ago, but the attempt was a failure. And then schools reverted back to the church schools. Schools are voluntary in Uganda. It's a hardship for many families to send their children to school. In fact, life is difficult. The median age in Uganda is 15. Life expectancy is only 45 to 50 years of age. Half the children that start school will live long enough to graduate. Many of the students that we saw were orphans. 35% of the population lives below their poverty level. 70% of the population that is older than 15 years old can read. We loved our visit to the 5 schools in Kampala that we visited. The students were so appreciative and friendly. It was hard to leave.